Alright, hello everyone, welcome back once again. I am Nicodemus Kane. Today is December the 28th of 2022, at least according to their calendar. It is definitely a Wednesday, you can feel it. Just trying to get through the day. At least this week was a 4-day week. I may not celebrate their holidays, but I do enjoy the days off. Today we're going to jump into Jeremiah chapter 21. Not much happened yesterday. Not much that I saw. There's a lot of people talking about a lot of different stuff, and I'm not really paying attention as much as I used to. Yesterday was kind of a hard day. Yesterday was a bit of a hard day. And it seems like everything that's happened over the past month and a half, since my mother passed away, has been... It kind of crept up on me all at once, you know. And I kind of had a somber day of reflection, and it really got to me. So I just let it happen. Yeah, I just let it go. I didn't. Yesterday was just a day, just another day, and I worked. I worked a lot. It's amazing how the days that I spend in quiet reflection and not really, dealing with a lot of other stuff. It's amazing how much work I get done just by turning my brain off and just going. It's incredible. Anyways, destroyed my quota, by the way, too. I just absolutely just obliterated it, and that's never good when you have a quota-based work system, is to go way over your quota. And that's, because all that does is show the boss, how much you can work. So I will be dealing with that fallout, I'm sure. But enough about me. Enough about that stuff. Let's read Jeremiah 21. Let's pray to the Father that He gives us whatever word He needs us to hear today. Pray that we have understanding and faith and reason in all things. Okay. Amen. Alright. Jeremiah 21. The word which came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, when King Zedekiah sent unto him Pashur the son of Melchiah, and Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah. Is that right? Maaseiah? It's M-A-A. So Maaseiah. And Zephaniah the son of Maaseiah the priest, saying, Inquire, I pray thee, of the Lord for us. For Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, maketh war against us. If so be that the Lord would deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up from us. And already there's a pilcrow at verse 3. So back to the beginning. The word which came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, when King Zedekiah sent unto him Pashur the son of Melchiah. Now, is this the same Pashur? No, this is not the same Pashur. Now, do not get this wrong. The Pashur that we were talking about in chapter 20 was Pashur the son of Emer, the priest, who was also chief governor of the house. Remember, this is the one that grabbed Jeremiah, threw him in prison. And because of that, Jeremiah was basically saying, what is my life worth? So I'm doing all of these things, and every time I open my mouth, people are speaking against me. They're now officially physically assaulting me, putting me in jail for just the words I'm speaking. That was Pashur, the son of Emar. This is Pashur, the son of Melchiah. When King Zedekiah sent unto him Pashur, the son of Melchiah, and Zephaniah, the son of Maaseiah, the priest, sang, and I'm going to check these names. One of the chief princes in the reign of King Zedekiah of Judah. Now, this also has a priest, son of Emer. I think it's just the name, but let me check here. It's a different person. It goes out of its way to say this is the son of a different person. They didn't have traditional last names that we have now to be able to tell us who our father is. Or who our families are. So that is a completely different person. It's one of those things, when you get... Nah, I'm losing my train of thought on that one. We're not gonna. It's a name thing. It's, a lot of people have the same names. It happens. But this is a different guy. And Zephaniah, the son of Maaseiah, the priest, sang. This is whenever this king Zedekiah sent these people, sent the princes down to Jeremiah, and they said, Inquire, I pray thee, of the Lord for us, for Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon maketh war against us. If so be that the Lord will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up from us. So, of course, this is them saying, well, this Jeremiah kid, he's talking to God. Let's go see if we can ask him if the Lord will stop, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, which God said, if you don't follow me, I'm going to send somebody from a strange land that you don't know to come up against you, and I will let them take you. And of course that's Nebuchadnezzar. So then we get to verse 3. Then said Jeremiah unto them, Thus shall ye say to Zedekiah, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, wherewith ye fight against the king of Babylon, and against the Chaldeans, which besiege you without the walls. And I will assemble them into the midst of this city, and I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand, and with a strong arm, even in anger, and in fury, and in great wrath. And I will smite the inhabitants of this city, both man and beast. They shall die of a great pestilence. And afterward, saith the Lord, I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his servants, and the people, and such as are left in this city from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar. No, that's not Nebuchadnezzar. It's Nebuchadrezzar. This is a different one. Nebuchadrezzar. See, there's a difference between Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuchadrezzar. There's a difference. I know. It's that D. It's all it is. Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadrezzar. I think Nebuchadnezzar was actually his son, maybe? Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those that seek their life. And he shall smite them with the edge of the sword. He shall not spare them, neither have pity, nor have mercy. and I'm going to look up the name Nebuchadrezzar. It's Nebuchadnezzar or Nebuchadrezzar. So it's actually one or the other. Nebuchadnezzar. So is it just spelled different then? I've wondered this one before because it's spelled two different ways and people say it two different ways in the Bible. And I've wondered if maybe it is two different people. Of course, the Strong says it's the same person. Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuchadrezzar. It's the same person. But I have actually wondered, and it doesn't have to be true. It's just you have to wonder these things. If maybe it is two different people. Maybe there's something else going on here that we should look more into. I don't know. But it is spelled differently. Just makes you wonder. And again, I'm sure there's a lot of people saying, no, they're the same person. Don't worry, it's okay. And I get that. That's fine. But at the same time, what if we don't... I don't want to say we don't know for certain. At the same time, though, I'm sure there's enough information if I just go looking. I'm not going hunting for this right now. I do know the king of Babylon was Nebuchadnezzar, so we'll go with that. We'll go with that for now, that it's the same person, and it's just spelled differently in two different places. It is what it is. We'll go with it, but the Strong says that it's the same name. So, and there's another one, Nebuchadnezzar. Alright. Well, at any rate, we'll go back up to verse 3. Then said Jeremiah unto them, Thus shall ye say to Zedekiah. So this is Jeremiah talking to the princes that came, the Pashur and, Zephaniah. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, wherewith ye fight against the king of Babylon, and against the Chaldeans, which besiege you without the walls. And I will assemble them into the midst of this city. I will basically take away your ability to fight, and I will let them come into the city. And I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand, and with a strong arm, even in anger and in fury and in great wrath, because you didn't listen to me, and I warned you about this. If you turn back, these things won't happen to you. But you didn't. You just kept right on doing the same old nonsense you did, and I will personally come down and fight you myself. And I will smite the inhabitants of this city, both man and beast. They shall die of a great pestilence. And afterward, saith the Lord, I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah. Okay, and I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his servants, and the people, and such as are left in this city, from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those that seek their life. And he shall smite them with the edge of the sword. He shall not spare them, neither have pity, nor have mercy. Something I have said several times is that I will take away the barrier of protection. Why does God let us suffer? Well, God doesn't let you suffer. God will not let you suffer if you'd simply turn to Him. You suffer because you do not have the power of God behind you. Oh, but my grandmother was a perfect Christian woman, and she shouldn't have ever suffered with the things that she did. Were you praying? Were you giving your whole heart? Were you following God's word? Did you have the faith as a mustard seed? You have to think about these things. God said that if you turn to Him, you shall be protected. You will have the things that you need to have to go through this life. You will be surrounded with a barrier of protection. You will be surrounded with all of the food that you can eat, all the crops that you can gather, all of the cattle, all of the sheep, whatever. You will have a lineage, a family that will not be cut off. If you keep His word, keep His commandments, keep His faith in you. But if you turn away from Him, if you follow after other gods, if you do not listen, then He will remove that barrier of protection. He will remove that goodness that He gave to you. And you will fall to the evils of this world. Well, what does that mean exactly? Well, there are the men in high places, the princes, the powers that should not be, that are laying laying traps and snares, laying snaps. They're throwing snaps at you on the ground, the little firecrackers. They're laying traps and snares. They are waiting for you to lose that protection so that they can jump, so that they can take everything from you. This is one of the biggest problems that we have right now in America, is that America has fallen. There used to be, I don't want to say that this country was ever founded on Christian principles. I don't know that for sure. I know that at one point in time, this country had some pretty high standards and some pretty high Christian standards, Christian values. It may not have been perfect. It may have been tainted back in the 30s. But there were people that existed that had good things that came to them. Everybody's corruptible. Don't think that everybody's not corruptible. But at one point in time, it seemed like a pretty good place. But it has been subverted. It has fallen. Those that are in power, those that are wealthy. There was something in the Bible that I don't know if we read it, but I read it somewhere else. Those that have the wealth, I don't know exactly what it said, but those that have the wealth would go out of their way to take more from the poor, something like that. Like those men that have money will go out of their way to hurt those that don't. You know, some kind of crazy, illogical nonsense, and yet you look at the world today and it's exactly what's happening. Those that have money, the 1%ers, are destroying the rest of us. Not just in America, but the world. The whole world. You have everything you could ever want, and then some. And instead of doing anything good with your money, you choose to do evil. Because you think you're better. Because again, these families that have been there, they're not taught the same way. They don't have the same regards for life that you do. They're taught differently. It's one of those things that is very hard for people to understand, how how could somebody be so callous and just, hate life and all this stuff? It's like, well, it's because since the day they were born, they were told that, or they were taught that their life has more value than yours. That's not hard to do. It really isn't. People want to get mad all the time about the people on the bottom, the peasants on the bottom of the pecking list, and say, oh, well, you people are racist, you people are garbage, you people are this and that and all this other kind of stuff. Because supposedly of the way we're taught. I was never taught that. I was never taught to be racist. I was never taught to be like that. I am finding out that this world thinks I am, but I'm not. But the people that are on top, the people with the money, the people with the power, they're taught different standards. They're taught by eugenicists. There was a eugenics council. I don't remember the exact name for it. I just call it the eugenics council. There was a eugenics council back in the 1920s, 1930s. It stemmed from the study of evolution and eugenics that happened in the late 1800s. You have to remember that Darwin's book wasn't just called the, whatever it was, Theory of Evolution, whatever it was, I don't know what the hell it is. The full title was, finding racial differences between people, or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's not even in my scope of understanding right now. What was Darwin's book's name? Darwin's book on the origin of species. What's the full title? But what's the full title? Charles Darwin, bibliography. Let's see if Wikipedia has the balls to write the whole... There it is. On the origin of species. So again, Wikipedia. It's amazing. They throw this stuff right out there in the open. 1859. Again, that was right after the time when things started changing. You remember we talked about something happened in the 1800s where people started... something happened. Something, I don't know what happened, but something happened that caused everything to flip on its head. And slowly but surely from that point on, everything has been manipulation. So we are talking about 1859. This was what? Oh God, when was the Civil War? (1861 to 1865). So you're telling me 2 years before the American Civil War, 2 years before a war over supposed slavery, Charles Darwin publishes a book called On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or The Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. Two years before the American Civil War, which had to do with slavery. Interesting. It's not the Eugenics Council. It might be Eugenics Society, maybe. What is this? Eugenics Society annual meeting and an election of officers and council. Is there still like is that an actual thing? Apparently, the Eugenics Council was a band. American Eugenics Society from 1926 to 1972. There you go. That tells you a lot right there. 1926. But it stemmed from it stemmed from the understandings of evolution of the favored races. See, it's still one of those things that you have to ask yourself the question. The Civil War went out of its way to say that slavery was bad. And they freed the slaves. That's what it said it was. But as soon as they freed the slaves, then everything started happening that all this racism just pops up out of nowhere. And it wasn't from the South. This was from the North, too. Let's see if I can find this. American Eugenics Society, 1926-1972. Established in the U.S. by Madison Grant, Harry Laughlin, Henry Crampton, Irving Fisher, and Henry F. Osborne. Irving Fisher. I think that's the name of the guy that did... No, I'm thinking about somebody else. Irving Fisher was one of America's greatest mathematical economists, one of the clearest economic writers. This guy was a banker and a eugenicist and a statistician, progressive social campaigner. He was a social campaigner, yet he was a eugenicist. Do you people not hear this? Do people just not hear these things whenever people say them? It blows my mind when you say these things out loud. You know, it's like, don't you get it? This guy was a banker, part of the American Eugenics Society. He was a banker. When eugenics and economy come together, that's a problem. It's scary. It's absolutely scary. It doesn't say where it was founded, though. Michigan. Supposedly, in New York, the American Museum of Natural History in New York financed the Galton Society. Took its name and found a UK... Francis Galton, a UK eugenicist and cousin of Charles Darwin. The Galton Society focused on racial anthropology and was involved in a eugenics education society in London. Oh my goodness. The time frames, though, are right there. It's the same old thing. And people say, oh no, it wasn't that bad. Oh, it wasn't that much of a thing. No. It was a thing, and it's still a thing. This supposed American Eugenics Council only stopped in 1972. They didn't go away. These are the sons and daughters of these people. The family of these people still exist in this world. They're still out there. They're still doing things. They're still running the Planned Parenthoods. They're still running the free medical centers. They're politicians now. Yeah, remember the bankers all became politicians. The people that run the money run the country. You now have people that run the country whose cousins, whose siblings also run information. They run, well, some of them are just straight up newscasters. You know, they're straight up in television. They're in the media. I mean, we could talk about actors that became politicians all you want, but that's too easy. We're talking about, like, they have family, either cousins or sons or daughters or wives that run computer technology, that are part of the boards of social media platforms. And just because the names don't fit doesn't mean that they're not related. They change their names all the time. One of the things I learned when I was a kid was that Hollywood, you change your name. When you first get into Hollywood, you will change your name in order for that, in order to have a more recognizable name. That doesn't just stick in Hollywood. That goes everywhere. They do it in politics. They do it on the media. They do it everywhere. It's the same families. That's why everybody looks alike. You could have one or two people that will come up to you and say, "Hey, you look just like my cousin. You look just like my sister-in-law. You look just like my whatever." You're not going to get very many people that will come up to you and say, "Hey, you look just like that actor." It's because they all stick together. Their families have stuck together for years and years and years. And it's the same families straight down the line. These eugenics people, these bankers, these hustlers, every single one of them, they've kept together. And they have laid these snaps, here we go again, these traps and these snares against us. They're eugenicists that run the money. Think about that for a second. You wonder why black people are so poor? Do you wonder why white people are so poor? Do you wonder why anybody's so poor? Because it's not just about black people and white people. It's about my family's DNA is better than your family's DNA. Therefore, my family is better than you, so my family should have more power and wealth than you do. This isn't just about skin color. This is about family bloodlines. Whose family is better? Who is and isn't a slave? They consider you a useless eater slave that can do nothing for them other than just run the machines. Because that's how it's been since the dawn of time. Because they want to be in control. That's the way it's always been. People don't see that. But it's there. It's constantly there. It's constantly been there. Over and over and over again. American Eugenic Society, 1929. Stemmed off of the book that Charles Darwin wrote back in 1859, 2 years before the American Civil War. 2 years before the American Civil War. That means something. All of this means something. Every single bit of it. I'm just trying to open your brain up. To get you to consider the possibility that everything we know is a complete and total fabrication. You can see the system over and over and over. What was the other one we were talking about? Christmas. We were talking about you can see the process. Late 1930s, 1937, 1938, the father of advertising comes over to America. And then the next year, Santa Claus, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all of these things just instantly pop up. And then from there, the Institute of Christmas comes around. And that was right before the war. Think about all those people that were in America while their sons were off. Their sons and their fathers were all fighting in World War II, that were being bombarded, absolutely bombarded and manipulated by all of that Christmas propaganda. Don't worry about your loved ones. Just, here's White Christmas. Sing a song. Sing a happy song. It'll make you feel happy. And we just carry those traditions over because they make you feel better. Think about that. You have to put these things in a context to understand. I'm just trying to crack your brain open. Like I said, we have been so manipulated into not thinking about these things. It is a good exercise to have an understanding of just how manipulated the world is. It definitely doesn't hurt. But those are the traps and the snares that evil men will lay for you, that God says, if you turn away from me, I will remove the barrier of protection. And I will let these things run right over top of you. And he says he will do this righteously and with righteous judgment. Because he made a promise to you. If you just listen to me, I'll keep you in my favor. But if you turn from me, I can't help you. It's like any father would do. While you're under the Father's roof, you are protected for all of your life. You are protected from everything. But if you want to be a wicked son and run away and go off and spend money and go whoring and do all the other kind of stuff, he says, I cannot protect you while you're out there. He said, you can come back to me anytime. You come back to me and I will give you back everything. I will protect you and I will love you and I will care for you. But if you turn away from me, if you run away, I can't do anything for you. You're going to go out there into that world and that world's going to eat you up. And I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And that's why he says we can come back anytime we want. If we turn back, we come back under the protection. It is amazing how many people are now talking about how anyone that uses weaponry or will not listen to their rulers or will not listen to their priests, their learned ones, how they are turning against God. And all I have to say that is no. No, we don't have to fight with just weapons of this world. We are given the sword of the Spirit. We are meant to call out evil when we see it. We are meant to put away the evil things of this world. We can come out of this anytime we want. We can very easily come out of this evil anytime we want. All we have to do is stand up to it. It's not about going out and using guns to kill people. It's not about going out and tearing down our institutions. It's about judging righteously what we're going to do about this stuff. Getting evil people that you can see the fruits of their labor, getting evil people out of the world. And again, I want to talk about, who chooses the rulers. Does God choose your rulers, or does man choose your rulers? We could talk about voting all day too, because that's man choosing their rulers. When Paul wrote Romans about the Romans, Julius Caesar was not elected. Was he elected? He was not elected for Jerusalem. I'm surprised I actually spelled that right. If Julius Caesar was even real, I don't even know. He was elected. So there was an election. But he was not... He was considered their ruler because they had taken over Jerusalem. Being taken over and being ruled over by a dictator, let's say like Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Being ruled over by Nebuchadnezzar, that's one thing. Electing your officials is something else. Electing the lesser of two evils. It's even in the wording that we use. The lesser of two evils. That's us taking it into our own hands. And that's something that God said never to do. He would pick our rulers. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it 100%. I know that the Bible says, if we as Christians put on the full armor of God, and if we walk in the Spirit, and if we walk in truth, there is nothing that can come against us. That we can call evil out if we pull back from evil. Pull back from darkness. God will give us protection again. There's a lot of people out there that they're going on and on about, how wonderful of a time it is because Christ is coming back soon. And I can agree with that. It's going to be pretty nice no matter what it is for this world to go down, but we're not there yet. A lot of people think that it's going to happen tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow because we're definitely not in the days of Noah. We're slipping and sliding, but we're not there. It could be another 200 years. We don't know. We just don't know. But there is nothing at all in the Bible that says we just have to sit on our hands and just take it. It will happen, yes, but there's nothing that says that we can't turn it around. At least not in our generation. Doesn't have to happen now. Of course, every time I say that, it sounds like I am trying to promote living in this world, and I hear it, and I think, you're right, but at the same time, what I want more than anything else is just for people to live in the truth, people to understand the truth, to put away evil. If we could put away darkness and evil out of this world, life would be so much better. And I think it's possible. A lot of people don't think it's possible, and maybe it isn't possible. Who knows? But I have been turned into an optimist over the past 5 years. It's entirely possible, I think, for us to be able to just tell people, hey, you're being lied to and manipulated, and then they can go off and they can tell other people, and then it spreads. And maybe, just maybe, we can get the whole world to turn. I think it's possible. Probable? Probably not. But I'm trying, I'm trying. Getting back on track, though. These princes came to Jeremiah, asked him to asked him to talk to God on their behalf and say, this Nebuchadnezzar guy is coming up against us. Could you help us? And God said, you know what? No, I'm gonna make it to where you can't fight him. Not only will I remove the weapons out of your hands, I will personally come and fight against you because you didn't listen. And I will let him run right over top of you. And all the people that don't die off, you will go with him, and you will be taken away and given off to his captives, or given off as captives and all this other stuff. Again, that's that barrier of protection. God promises you will be protected as long as you just listen to him and follow his commandments. I'm not saying law, I'm saying commandments. A lot of people want to say if you follow his law, well, his law and the commandments. I've been hearing a lot of rumblings about the law of Moses, and that we are under the commandments of God. Not so much the law of Moses, but under the commandments of God. Well, God made a lot of commandments. He made a lot of laws, too. A lot of laws that, can physically do something to you on this world if you go against them. His commandments can go against you spiritually. I think that's something that a lot of people haven't talked about. There is a lot of spiritual implications about the commandments. Not just the laws. You break the laws, and it says, go sacrifice X amount of whatever because you broke a law, or break this other law and you get punished physically this way or that way. You break the commandments, though, there is no physical punishment. It's a spiritual punishment. You're losing something. You're losing something in heaven. There's a difference. I think there's a difference. I think there's something to it. I don't know. I think that's part of how we're supposed to look at it. The law was here for physical, for the people, because the people wanted to have a law. They wanted to have a ruler. They wanted to have laws. They wanted to have something to give them structure. And he said, okay, fine, here is your law. You're under the law of Moses. It is a physical law because you people just cannot come out of your sin. So I'm going to find a way that you can, it can help you get through. There's spiritual commandments. Things that you do for the flesh that are not good, that go against the spirit. I think that's part of the understanding that I think a lot of us are missing. And I may not be the only one that ever says that too. I don't know. I just know that a lot of things I've been seeing on Twitter, they've been talking about they've been making this differentiation between, the commandments of God and the law of Moses. And I'm like, oh, that kind of makes sense to a point. So I don't know. I don't know what it means. It's more that we have to study up on, pray to God to give us discernment and understanding about it. Let's keep going though. Verse 8. And unto this people thou shalt say, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He that abideth in this city shall die by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth out, and falleth to the Chaldeans that besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be unto him for a prey. For I have set my face against this city for evil, and not for good, saith the Lord. It shall be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. So back up to verse 8. And unto this people, hold on one second. I had to stop and cough there. My eye messed with me. Wow. Okay. Verse 8 again. And unto this people thou shalt say, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He that abideth in this city shall die by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence. If you stay in a city, you're going to die. But he that goeth out, and falleth to the Chaldeans that besiege you, he shall live, and his life shall be unto him for a prey. If you give yourself over, fall down to them, and ask them for mercy, you shall live, but your life shall be unto him for a prey. He shall be a ruler over you. You shall be his slave. But if you stay in the city, if you try to protect yourself, you're gonna die. You're gonna fall by every little thing possible. For I have set my face against this city for evil, and not for good, saith the Lord. It shall be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall burn it with fire. You got two choices. I'm telling you right now. You can burn with the city if you want to burn with your worldly possessions, or you can give up everything and you can go be a slave and you can live, and then we'll talk later and see what happens. Verse 11, And touching the house of the king of Judah, say, Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of David, thus saith the Lord, Execute judgment in the morning, and deliver him that is spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury go out like fire, and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. My throat's getting a little dry, so we're going to keep going. Thankfully, we're right at the end of this, though. Behold, verse 13, Behold, I am against thee, O inhabitant of the valley, and rock of the plain, saith the Lord, which say, Who shall come down against us, or who shall enter into our habitations? But I will punish you according to the fruit of your doing, saith the Lord. And I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. Alright, back up to 11. And touching the house of the king of Judah, say, Hear ye the word of the Lord, O house of David. Thus saith the Lord, Execute judgment in the morning, and deliver him that is spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury go out like fire. Lest my fury go out like fire, and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. Execute judgment in the morning, and deliver him that is spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my fury go out like fire. Behold, I am against thee, O inhabitant of the valley, and rock of the plain, saith the Lord, which say, Who shall come down against us, or who shall enter into our habitations? Touching the house of the Lord of Judah. So is this God saying, Execute judgment, and deliver him that is spoiled out of the hand of the oppressor. Execute righteous judgment. Turn back from where you were, lest my fury go out like fire. Again, this is your chance to turn, to make the turn, to become better. Lest my fury go out like a fire. Execute the judgments in the morning. Take care of your people. Do all the things I told you to do, or else And then 13, behold, I am against thee, O inhabitant of the valley, and rock of the plain, saith the Lord, which say, who shall come down against us, and who shall enter into our habitations? Well, again, we've seen that before, where all the people were saying, what were they saying? it was in my head a second ago, and then it just disappeared. Where was it? It was the ones that they were bringing in all of the abominations into the temples, into the cities, reveling in them, taking them out, and all of that. And then they would turn around and they say, well, who can defeat us? They heard a bad word coming from, oh, well, there's somebody that's coming up against us. Well, who can hurt us? Who can destroy us? God has our back. I was like, maybe, I want to say like 10 or 12, somewhere around there. Chapters 10, chapter 12, somewhere around there. And God basically said, no, that's not how this works. You're bringing all these abominations into the city, and I told you not to. And now you're thinking I'm going to protect you? And that's what this is. I am against thee, for everyone that says, who shall come down against me, or who shall enter into our habitations? But I will punish you according to the fruit of your doing, saith the Lord, and I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings. Yet again, it doesn't matter what your bloodline is. It doesn't matter how much you go and pray in the temple. It doesn't matter how many sacrifices you make. It doesn't matter. All of this stuff doesn't matter. The fruit of your doings is what I'm going to judge you on. You can judge them by their fruits. It doesn't matter how slick they are, how cute they are, how much they dress up, how many songs they sing that are to God, all these other things. It doesn't matter. By their fruits you shall know them. God says, I will punish you according to the fruits of your doings. You want to sit there and bring all these things into my cities and do all these things I told you not to do. And then you want to turn around and you want to say, well, who can stop us? God's on our side. God's on our side, and who can stop us? Who can bring forth anything against us because we have God walking in front of us? It says, you know what? I'm about ready to bring the hammer down on you. I'm going to look for this, though. It was in here. There was the one. What is that? What chapter is this? 15? 16. Chapter 16, where he told Jeremiah to go out there and tell them, all these things are coming down on you. You went out and you did all these things and you reveled in it and you feasted and you had fun. For this saith the Lord of God, the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the Lord of God, the Lord of hosts, God of Israel. Behold, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes and in your days the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride. I will take all of these things away. And then they will ask, well, why has he pronounced this against us? Why is he bringing all this evil upon us? What is our sin that we have committed? And then he says, because your fathers have forsaken me. Because they walked after other gods, they served them, they worshiped them, they have forsaken me, and they have not kept my law. They have just not followed me. And you wanted to go off, bring all of this crap, this darkness, all of these things into my temple, into my city, and revel in it. Parade it around in the streets. do all of these evil, dark, demented things. You didn't call it out. You didn't stop it. You let your children revel in it. Therefore, I am bringing this destruction upon you. And they keep asking the question, why? Well, why is he doing this? Who can hurt us? There's, and he says over and over again, I'm about ready to bring an army down on your head. Well, who can hurt us? We're the people of God. There's nothing gonna happen to us. It's not the only place, but it says it over and over and over again. It constantly says it over and over again. Is that they had their chance. And he sent Jeremiah out and kept telling them, don't do this. Don't do that. Stop worshiping the way that they worship their other gods. Do not do as the pagans do. Stop doing that. Stop it. Slaps his hand. Stop it. Stop doing it. But they just kept doing it. Kept doing it, kept reveling in it, kept having a good old time. God said, all right, fine. We're not doing it anymore. It makes you really wonder. It makes you really, really wonder just how bad God thinks about worshiping Christmas. Because some people think it doesn't matter. Me, personally, I think you can do whatever you want to do. I'm going to tell you that judgment's going to be between you and God. He told you not to, but you're going to keep doing it anyway, so whatever. That's between you and him. I can't judge you. Because I'm not in that position to judge you right now. I can judge righteously and I can say, look, you probably shouldn't do that. He gave us feasts that are just fine, that are perfect for us to be able to celebrate and, that we can do. But he tells us not to do these very specific things. And yet you want to keep doing them. And it's not about Christianizing anything. You don't just get to Christianize pagan rituals. If you got to do that, if you got to take a pagan ritual and make it of God and call it God's ritual, God would not have gotten mad at the Israelites when they made the golden calf. But he did. God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He is unchanging. You take the pagan festival of Yule and say that it's Christmas. Do you think God wants that? You take the pagan festival of the, what is it called? The fertility festival of Ishtar. Let's see if we can find it just by searching up Ishtar Festival, if I could spell it right. Festival of Ishtar. That's just all it is. Festival of Ishtar. You cannot take the pagan rituals that they do, the dyeing of the eggs, the worship of the bunnies, all those things. You can't take it and just call it Easter. It doesn't work like that. You can't bring Halloween, a day that was originally made to worship the dead. You can't bring it into the parking lot of a church in order to take the evil out of it. You're still spreading evil and darkness. It's still there. It's still a thing. Up until, well, even now, I still say you can do whatever you want. It's going to be between you and God. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can't tell you, I can tell you what the Bible says. The Bible says not to do it. Do not do as the heathens do. Do not do these rituals. A lot of people, again, seem to think, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all right. Actually, God said a lot that he said to keep his feasts, to keep his calendar, to keep his times. He said that there will be an Antichrist that will come in the end days that will change times and seasons, and he will change all of these things, that we perish for a lack of knowledge and understanding about these things. This isn't even our calendar. You got guys out there that are saying, well, see, look, it says right here that the Sabbath is on a Saturday. You don't even know what day it is. You don't know what day it is. Today is Wednesday, according to their calendar. It could very well be Saturday. We don't know. We don't know. It's not hard to manipulate the calendar if you say that, X star in the system starts on this certain day. It's not that hard at all. You can change everything. The names have changed. The months have changed. The times have changed. It's hard to know what anything is anymore. It really, truly is. Because we have been lied to and manipulated for years. It's been hundreds of years. If these things started happening in 1830, we are 200 years behind right now. We are close to 200 years behind. And they have only ramped that up whenever we hit the 20th century, because the early 1900s were nothing but learning about manipulating the mind, controlling educational systems. And who knows, that you may very well get to a point to where they may flip it again. I mean, it's entirely possible that the calendar has been flipped twice. Why is there a Monday? Why is there a moon day after a Sunday? Who says that it can't be turned around, flipped around? Everything could be backwards in 100 years. It's not hard. It really is not that hard to get the whole world to flip upside down in 100 years. And I can hear people say, oh, it's got to be harder than that to be able to change an entire calendar. No, it's not. How old is the Julian calendar? How old is the Gregorian calendar? Gregorian calendar. It's even in my search because I've looked it up. This says supposedly 1582. I'm going to say that's probably not 1582. It's probably more of a it's probably closer to 17, 1600. I don't know. I'm going to go for that. Because I don't know anything past anything past 400 years, well, anything past 100 years is suspect. But anything past 200 years is most definitely suspect. And again, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that there's a point where we have to start really understanding that we are bathed in lies, and we have to start over. We have to understand, It's not that hard. It really is not that hard for them to completely reinvent everything. And if it was, 1500s, that's what, 400 years? 500 years? 400 years? 400 years. 400 years. Psh. I'm going to go ahead and stop. I think we've had enough of this. Just trying to get you to question everything. Actually, saw I was going to say it earlier, and I didn't even think about it. Saw it's an old 9/11 truther video yesterday. YouTube suggested it. I don't know why in the world it pulled that one up out of the darkness. But I was thinking about it, that it was, where was it at? I watched a lot of stuff yesterday. I really did. 9/11, Anatomy of a Great Deception. This is from Vengeance from 1979. I don't know, somewhere along the line I had subscribed to him, but it was 8 years ago. And the guy that's narrating it, the guy that did it, he seems like a normie. It was just a normie story. Just he happened to see that something just didn't look right, and kind of fell down the rabbit hole and did the whole thing. Probably some people will look at it and say, well, he's just a shill. I don't know. I don't really know. It's not the point. The point of this is that video is 8 years old. 8 years old. How much the world has changed in just 8 years. And I was thinking about it. We're 21 years into that deception. 21 years since 9/11. And people still believe it. People still just fall right into it. And I felt sad about that. I felt sad that manipulation, that brainwashing is so ingrained into us that so many people just refuse to. And it's not even just refuse, it's that they've been brainwashed into thinking that anybody that thinks otherwise is a fool and an idiot. That if you even consider questioning the official narrative, that there must be something mentally wrong with you. And that manipulation has gotten to that point that I remember having the talk with my mom about, well, it was a hoax, it was a false flag, it's not real. And she said, well, I went to Ground Zero. I saw it for myself. It happened. And it was hard trying to get her to understand that, yes, it happened, but it didn't happen the way that you thought it did. So, oh, no, it had to have happened. I saw it. I was there. I said, I know you were there. Yes, 3 buildings fell down, straight down into their footprints. It left a big gaping hole. I'm sure that you went to ground zero and you saw it and all this stuff. But how they fell, that's what I'm trying to say. Well, no, it couldn't have been. Couldn't have been, because I was there. I saw it. That's the level of brainwashing. People just won't hear it. They won't even acknowledge the lie. Because they've been told over and over again. That's truth. You need to listen to it from official sources only. And of course, like I said, it's 8 years later, and we've had some pretty big hot button topics come up that, a lot of people have been screaming against the brick wall saying, hey, this is this and this is that, and maybe we should start opening our eyes. But it's just gotten worse. Now it's gotten to the point to where they just straight up censor you. If you even remotely speak out against it, they will shut you up. Like right now, I'm inside of the back of my head, I am wondering, just because I said 9/11 too much, inside of my video, will they pull my video? See, it's tricky, man. That's the lies and deception of this world. That's how bad it is. That's why we have to walk in the spirit of truth. Always. Not just in the spirit of faith, but in the spirit of truth. We have to walk in truth always. You have the sword of the Spirit, the sword of truth. Use it everywhere you go, in everything you do. Do not be afraid to speak the truth. We have to speak the truth at this point. We have to let these people understand what's going on. I don't have anything else other than that, man. There just have been a lot of things that have weighed heavy on my head the past couple months, and I definitely don't like the feeling of having to sit here and wait for the next big thing to happen. The people need to get off their ass and do something. We need to do something. Something has to change. Alright. I will talk to y'all later. God bless every one of you. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow.